Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know what's the last thing I ever want to hear, or the last thing I want to devote any brain power to? This argument that I constantly see pop up on Twitter, people arguing and furiously debating between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. I mean, talk about a complete waste of time. I mean, literally a complete waste of time. There are way more important things to do than to bicker and complain about either option. The reality is, they're both great. But what is becoming increasingly more and more apparent with each and every single day, week, and month and year that passes is that Ron DeSantis is a political superstar, and that Ron DeSantis, especially considering how young he is the future of the Republican Party. Look, I know people are taking sides, they've become tribal and in their feelings about this stuff. Both options are absolutely spectacular, but if you really think about it, Ron DeSantis is Donald Trump, and I'm beginning to even develop the opinion that it's Donald Trump, but better. And that shouldn't be making you angry, even if you're the biggest Trump fan in the world. Ron DeSantis is just reaching legend status. The guy just doesn't hold back, and he's got very few political weaknesses. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean, but of course, before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so point number one. One thing that people loved about Donald Trump is that he stood up to the media and that he just told it as he saw it, and that he didn't mince his words. Well, honestly, right now in the political game, Ron DeSantis might be the most savage politician. I mean, it's been basically a year where Ron DeSantis has yet to even say the words Joe Biden. And you might be asking, well, what does that mean? Well, it's actually kind of interesting. Ron DeSantis hasn't said the words Joe Biden or Biden because essentially over the past year, he has explicitly called Joe Biden Brandon. The guy is savage on another level.
Considering the budget, but then in particular, as I've been considering it over the past many weeks, we have to look at what we're doing against the backdrop of what's going on in Washington, D.C. And particularly, there's a fella by the name of Brandon that people talk about that we have to contend with. And I see this news report where Biden is so frustrated that his approval ratings are in the toilet. He can't understand it. He's lashing out at his staff. He's blaming other people. He's blaming the media, even though he gets the most sycophantic media coverage that any president has ever gotten. Compared how they treated Trump to how they treat Biden, it's night and day. And so he's trying to make excuses, and I'm just thinking to myself, you know, what has he done since he came into office? He immediately waged war against American energy production. You see record gas prices in the United States? Well, that's a big reason why, because of his policies.
This guy is not playing games. And some people are saying he's one of the strongest leaders in American politics. No, he is the strongest leader in American politics. On every single important issue, he isn't just resisting, he's fighting.
We're prepared for what Biden throws our way. And, you know, yes, part of it's the inflation and the gas. Part of it are intentionally destructive policies, like trying to deny school lunch programs for states that don't do transgender ideology in the schools. I mean, give me a break. Totally off his rocker to be doing that. We're fighting on that. Don't worry. So we're just prepared to be able to defend the taxpayers and the hardworking people in the state of Florida. And I couldn't be prouder for doing that.
And he's not just fighting the federal government. He's not just fighting the Brandon regime. He's fighting every single outside political force like Disney and other corporate political actors, and even fighting domestic political forces, standing by his guns, pun intended, inappropriate to subsidize political activism. DeSantis speaks out after nixing funds for Tampa Bay Rays facility days after the team posted anti-gun rant. There is no governor like him. There is nobody who does the right thing and puts everything on the line for his constituents each and every single time, without delay or without hesitation, without second thought or question. There is no governor who has a track record of fighting for what he believes is right, and in many cases, in pretty much every case, face for what Floridian values stand for, there is no governor like him. The guy is an absolute beast, and he has the thickest political armor I have ever seen. And this is really where he's starting to impress me. I mean, you guys know my stance. It's not like I have to justify myself. I believe Donald Trump to be one of the greatest presidents in American history. But Donald Trump is not perfect. I mean, far from it. The guy has some kinks in his armor. He's got some clear faults. He's made some mistakes. And in my opinion, one of his biggest faults is caring too much about what other people think. Donald Trump, coming from New York media and being so involved in the tabloid process and in the press, he cares about what journalists are writing about him. He cares about what the media is saying. And in many cases, he gets caught up and he feeds into it, and sometimes he makes things worse than they need to be. He creates opportunity where he's vulnerable for attack. Ron DeSantis is the exact opposite. We've seen his interactions over the last couple of years. He doesn't give a crap. And this is probably why Ron DeSantis is so unbeatable. This right here is Ron DeSantis' political superpower. I mean, look, it's very simple. Donald Trump's number one, Ron DeSantis is number two, and the media understands this. And they have been waging anti-Ron DeSantis hit piece and hit campaigns over the last 4 years. Name a single one that even landed a scratch on Ron DeSantis. I mean, nothing. The guy is clean. They have been hitting him from every single angle with so many phony stories and propaganda BS. And we're not just talking about Taylor Lorenz writing a hit piece. We're talking about the entire media establishment, from cultural media to the news media, working using their combined forces to try to take down Ron DeSantis in Florida. But what has happened over the last 4 years? They've gained no momentum in their efforts. And Ron DeSantis is more popular. In fact, he's the most popular governor in the entire country with an approval rating that I last checked at 58%. And the state of Florida is becoming redder and redder and redder and redder each and every single waking day. He is truly, in his own way, one of a kind. Donald Trump, of course, is one of a kind himself, but Ron DeSantis, in his own way, and arguably, at least within the political arena, he might have a stronger advantage. He's just as sharp, just as savage, and he's got this impenetrable shield around him that just deflects media attacks like no one else. He is a political force which the Democrat establishment fears tremendously. And the best part about it is that he's not just all talk. I mean, on paper, he's also one of the greatest governors ever. And again, Donald Trump was pretty good, but Ron DeSantis might be a little bit better. And it all boils down again to that one thing, where Donald Trump cares what the media says about him. You know, during the COVID pandemic, he was changing his stances depending on how the media was attacking him. And at one point, he was giving in to so many Democrat narratives and talking points that he was promising stimulus checks. And under his final year, billions of dollars of government stimulus was printed and handed out to the American public because he gave in a little bit to the media pressure, and he veered a little bit off the path when it comes to conservative fiscal policy. Now look, I'm not knocking the guy. 2020 was a wild year, and who knows what Ron DeSantis or any other governor would have done in Donald Trump's shoes. It's a very hard position to be in. But one thing you know that you're getting with Ron DeSantis is not just freedom and good policy, but good financial and fiscal policy. Here's Ron DeSantis on his Twitter feed, boasting about his track record. The free state of Florida is leading the way in fiscal responsibility. By maintaining a record-breaking surplus, Florida is responsibly planning for future contingencies, such as a Biden-induced recession. Well, there you have it, folks. That's actually the first time I've seen Ron DeSantis say the word Biden instead of Brandon in a real long time, but it's a tweet, so it's not exactly the same thing. But take a look at the numbers. Rainy day fund of $2.73 billion in the fiscal year from summer of 2021 to summer of 2022. General revenue of $15 billion and over $3 billion in the trust fund. A record Florida budget surplus of nearly $21 billion in 2022. And also, once again, Ron DeSantis standing for his principles. In the last 4 years, Ron DeSantis has personally vetoed $5.7 billion in spending, and he vetoed more than $3 billion in 2022-2023 budget, the most ever, as Florida is setting an example for others on how to be good stewards of taxpayers' hard-earned dollars. We cannot repeat the mistakes we have witnessed in Washington, D.C. that have caused inflation to skyrocket. The guy has it all. And look, I know some people are going to be angry at this. This video is probably going to get more dislikes than my videos usually do. But this video is not meant as an attack on Donald Trump. It's meant more to highlight the incredible future that the Republican Party has under the leadership of a possible Ron DeSantis government. Whether he runs in 2024 or 2028, 2028, it doesn't matter. The point is, this guy is one of the most impressive politicians I have seen in my lifetime. And I think that is something that we can all agree on. Donald Trump has started something, and he's started an appetite for a completely new breed of politician. And if conservative politics and America First politics goes from Donald Trump to Ron DeSantis, and to more leaders like Ron DeSantis spawning, well then I'd say you are in good hands. And the future of the Republican Party looks quite bright. I mean, just think about it. The future of the Republican Party is Ron DeSantis and others like him. The future of the Democrat Party is Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg. I'd say that's a serious competitive advantage. And that's exactly how I personally like my competitive advantages. Serious. This guy from Florida is another breed entirely. The guy is built out of something else. And the more exposure I have to Ron DeSantis, the more I like and respect him. But of course, what I'm actually most interested in is to hear your comments, so let me know in the comment section down below. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you aren't already. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.